Hello, everyone. It has been a long time, hasn't it? It's so good to connect with you again. I didn't predict that I would be doing so today, but here I am. Have some time to sit down with you all. It's primarily probably because of the new moon and the new moon energy. Oftentimes, I know a lot of times people feel a reset in January. My internal clock is more aligned to the reset in September after I've had some time during the summer to settle down, be quiet, travel a little bit, less busyness in my life. And September always feels like I'm picking up a new baton and moving forward. So interestingly enough, it is the new moon energy. So, and I do feel new energy coming for many of us. Something is shifting, and excited to kind of maybe dig into that. I will pull a few cards for you and to see what that is really about. Also wanted to give you a quick update. Most of you have not seen me on social media very much, and certainly not on YouTube doing videos very much. I have been in a place of healing in some ways, busyness in other directions, and just trying to manage daily life and clients, other jobs, etc. And on top of it, have been doing some work on a book that's coming hopefully in the next year, and is a channeled piece of work that I've been working with a group of beautiful souls who've come together to join those sessions and actually ask questions in those sessions as I channel through the divine and bring those answers through. I'm also co-authoring with who has to be one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met, Chouchan, who came forward and volunteered her time to assist in bringing through this work that has been asked of me for many, many, many years, and just not knowing the hows and the whens and when I could start and how I could find the time. And she has been certainly the catalyst in moving that forward. And I was so incredibly grateful for her support and her love and her kindness, and also her wisdom. She has written her own book, which I've probably shared on my social media platforms, but it's definitely worth a read. So I'll probably also share a link below if you want to go see her work, which is a beautiful tribute to healing within families and specifically her own personal journey. So it's a beautiful read, and I hope you reach out and find it. You can find it on Amazon. That being said, what I will do at the end of this video is I've been guided this morning in meditation to share some audio of the channeling sessions that we've done. I think we did 8 sessions over the last few months. They're about an hour and a half long. And I was just guided this morning while I was getting ready. I was guided to share with you a small little portion of that. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what that portion will be, but it will be there. So after the card reading, feel free to listen in on that. It'll give you a flavor for what's coming in the book and what Spirit is wanting to share with you all. So happy to be here, happy to be connected to you all, happy to be rolling into new sessions with clients, and to get back to work in many ways. And like I said, feeling guided to bring new things forward for everyone. And what that is, I don't know. I feel it's still unfolding. For anyone who's actually done a large body of work, like a book, there's a lot that goes into it. So it becomes almost a primary focus for you. And you really have to put a lot of effort and energy into that. So reading all the manuscripts, going through all the channeling sessions, I've been reading through all the audio, which has been a very interesting, I was just explaining this to Chouchan today in our meeting, a very interesting experience for me. Because I'm never on the receiving end of my channeled messages and sessions that I do for other people. And so to hear those words as I'm listening back through all those sessions over the last few weeks, and to receive them, knowing they're coming through me, but not of me, has been a really beautiful experience for me because I realize it's certainly not me. But to receive those words in a different way has been an interesting experience for me, which for those of you that may channel and do intuitive work, you may understand a little bit about what I mean by that. To actually hear those words and sit with them as being the receiver rather than the conduit is a very interesting experience. Because when I'm done doing readings, I never remember what I said. I never go back and take a look at them. They're not for me. They're not of me. Recordings are deleted. Life goes on. And Spirit has been very gracious and not allowing me to retain that information. If you can imagine, that would be a lot of energy moving through me all the time that I was holding. So it comes through me, it's released. I don't remember a word that I say. So it was interesting to be on the receiving end of that. So that being said, I think what I'm going to do is pull some cards for the new moon as we walk into certainly what I feel is a new energy coming for us. The other interesting thing is, as I was in meditation and I was picking the cards, I have, I don't know, 50, 60 card decks here in this bureau behind me. And I was told to just close my eyes and pick the decks. And I was asked to pick 3 decks. Every single deck that came out was a Colette Baron Reed deck. And not necessarily decks I've worked a lot with. So this should be interesting. I trust the universe. For some reason, whatever vibration is coming through Colette in these co-creations she's done, there's some type of vibration or information that wants to come through regarding the new moon energy. So let's dig into that. I'm going to start with the first deck, which is the Mystical Shaman Oracle Guide deck that she did with Alberto Villado. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Hopefully I got that right. Villado, I believe it is. Again, all decks that I've somewhat worked with, but I don't have a lot of experience in. So, but let's see what comes up. Obviously, Spirit has some guidance here. So just asking for guidance on the new moon energy, the new energy coming forward with fall as we come into the later half of the year. What guidance for all those that are watching this video now, or will potentially be watching 2 years from now? What is it that they need to hear? So I just heard 2 cards from this deck. Okay. I'm going to keep picking cards because they just said to me, see the full picture. So her next deck that I'm picking from is Oracle of the 7 Energies. I just heard 1 card. And I just heard the new, the Goddess Power Oracle. I just heard 2 cards from here. So 2 cards, please. One. This is how I always do it. I just kind of spread them out and pick. Sometimes cards fly out, sometimes they don't. I just get a feel for what it is. I know where it is I need to go. Everyone has a little bit different. I just got 2 cards, so I've got 3 cards coming out. Everyone has a little different method, but that's certainly the method I often end up using if they're not flying out. Okay. It's interesting. So the first card we got was Luminous Warrior. I'm going to read them kind of in 3s, I think. And then Wind. And then Willing Release. The first thing I'm getting when I'm looking at Wind and Willing Release is, and I just heard a change is coming. That's interesting. I just heard that a change is coming. And the wind energy is going to be a powerful energy. Because what they're showing me is, because, you know, when you think about this, right, we're willing to release, what I'm just hearing is we're willing to release the past. We're willing to release that which we have been carrying. And we've often heard this out in the spiritual world, right? That which is no longer in alignment, that which is no longer good for us. But they're talking about, what they're showing me is the wind has shifted, because they're showing me the wind going in a certain trajectory, and then they're showing me that the wind is going to move very quickly in another direction. And they just said to me that this is going to keep us kind of on our toes a little bit, because some of us may have not have felt this or seen this coming. And what they're saying with this is, be willing to release and let go into that wind, not necessarily knowing exactly where that wind is taking you. And what they're saying to me is, many of us have had this knowingness. And what they're saying is, it felt like, that there's been a bit of a stalled energy for the last little bit, where we're kind of in a bit of reflection. Things for some people have felt stalled out. I mean, certainly for me, even though I'm doing things and moving things forward, compared to the pace that I used to do things, I would say it's been slower. You could call it stalled. But they're saying we need to, as this trajectory comes in, because what it's showing me is it's hitting the dandelion seeds, and there's this huge gust of wind. And it's just this intentional release of, like, I don't know where this is taking me, but I'm willing to go with this. They often use this phrase with me, which is a Star Trek phrase. And some of you may know this, but resistance is futile. You can always resist. You can always resist, but at the end of the day, change is inevitable, and change continues to happen. And certainly we've seen lots of that over the last little while. But there's a strength in this wind energy that's coming forward. So that could be something metaphorical wind. It could just be representing the power of the change, or how quickly, again, it changes trajectory very quickly. It's interesting because they keep calling me to this hawk energy, and they keep showing me the hawk in the wind, just floating with it, similar to what you would do here, is be the seeds, allow your wishes, your intentions, your hopes, your dreams to float through the wind for transformation, is what they just told me. The transformation is coming for many of us. And the one thing that we'll have to continue being, is what they just said to me, was the warrior of the light, the luminous warrior. Continuing to hold the light, continuing to open to the light. And I haven't posted very much, but I have had music come to me and visions through the music. And if you go to Instagram and Facebook, you'll see some of the postings that I've done. But there has been this energy of releasing and surrendering in that I keep seeing. They keep showing me this releasing in energy, just looking up to the divine and saying, I am surrendering to you. I'm surrendering to this moment. I'm surrendering to this experience. And there is an energy of strength that comes through that vision. This is not someone who's collapsing in a weakened state saying, I give up, I give up. That's not what's happening here. What happens is, it's this warrior energy, this strength that's coming through, this knowingness that the light is within me, and the light will shine, and the light will come through in each moment. And I am standing in the power of that light. I am surrendering into the power of that light. And I have this solid knowingness within me that all will be well. And that by me holding that energy, by me holding there, that's interesting. They just said the word ethics. Ethics. And they just said to me, where has the ethics gone in many communities. Where is the ethics? What are your ethics within the ethos? Is what they just said. Is interesting. So holding on to that. What do you stand for? What are your ethics? Knowing that everything is transpiring exactly as it should be, knowing that everyone is playing their piece in the puzzle for evolution and transformation, right? So what is your piece of that? Your piece of that is standing there as the luminous warrior you are, the loving, kind, empathetic light warrior that you are, but also the strength and the knowingness of what you stand in, what you stand for, and holding your ethics for purity and love and kindness and balance and compassion and joy. There is a world, they're saying there is a world around us now that is battling the concept of what is ethical. And what they're saying, which is a strong thing, but I'm going to not edit, they're saying that our ethics culturally have been slowly chipped away. Whether that's pursuing the almighty dollar, whether that's pursuing fame, whether that's pursuing recognition, whether that's pursuing anything that you're attached to. There is a culture that has been chipping away at ethics. I keep writing it very strongly in front of me. Ethics, and circling it. What do you stand for? What are your ethics? And it's not necessarily what they're saying, what is right or wrong, because that is also a trap. Because when you look from higher perspective, of course, there's not ultimately right or wrong in the sense of that there's ultimately only experience and potential for growth. But within that, there is also a spiritual ethics. There is also an ethics of humanity, of how we treat those, of what we pursue, of how we continue to give back. Is it from a place of selfishness and ego that's driving the ship? Is it a place of true willingness to surrender, to be in service to the divine, to stand up for what you feel is kindness and compassion, balance? They keep showing me the scales. Keep being the voice of balance, keep being the voice of reason, be the middle ground, is what they're showing me through that. So that's what they're calling out to. That's what they're saying is coming forward to. The potential is there for us to investigate the concept of ethics. And they just said there's not one person that has not struggled with ethics at some point in the last few years. What is ethical to me? It's interesting. So they keep showing me the digging. Whenever they want us to dig a little deeper, they want you to dig a little deeper. So the next three cards we got was home with Hestia, I think that says, or Kestia. Morrigan, so death and magic, okay, was the next card. And the past. What they're saying too is this is alignment with the first three cards in many ways. That as we stand into the light, as we stand into that frequency, as we investigate ethics, what we truly, not our egoic ethics, not I need to be right to feel like I am better than, or to justify my opinion, right? Sometimes we get caught in that. If you don't believe what I believe, then, there's this whole identity crisis that happens within people. Am I right? Am I on the right track? There's fear that's leading that. But they just said, let spiritual ethics, they just said the Big Ten. That's interesting. So I'm wondering if they're talking about the 10 Commandments here. Let spiritual ethics guide the way. What do you stand for? Okay. These two cards is what I'm most called to, but, and I keep hearing death of the past and magic of the future. What I keep hearing is there's death of the past and magic in the future. I'm just asking them to dig in a little bit more. I'm going to pull one more card on that because I feel they have more to say. Death in the past, death of the past, magic in the future. It's got perfect harmony. It's an 11 card, which is interesting. Because what they're showing me is the 11, and they're showing me in between in that middle way of the past and the future. There's harmony in between those two places. And we have to let go of the past, our stories of the past, our defining moments we believe in the past as part of our story, and then to not be so forward in the future that we are distracted by numerous possibilities, but continue to come back to the middle between those two things. They're showing me two kind of lines of energy here and us standing in the middle. And they thank you. And they just said that is where you are home. That is where you're connected. And that is where perfect harmony is. So it's about letting go of that sense of everything, in particular, everything that's happened over the last 2 years, knowing that there's something greater coming in the future, whatever that may be, holding the light for it and staying centered in between those two concepts is what they're saying, concepts, and being in harmony with what is in the moment. They said, because when you're in harmony within that moment, not too far in the future, not too far in the past, you are, as they want to call, home. That is where the light shines most. What they're showing me is that if you talk about being in the middle of those two things, and if your light shines the most there, if you're projecting or attaching to a storyline from your past, or you're projecting out into the future too far, your light starts to dissipate in both those directions. And so what it shows me is not that the light becomes weaker, because the light is always the light, but the pulse of it, the brightness of it is not as strong. It's not as concentrated. It's not as focused. It's not as, what they're showing me is it's not able to draw more energy to it, because it's more focused on pushing energy out into those other directions. So it's a weaker frequency in the sense that it weakens the central energy of you. And it doesn't allow more energy to come in, because it's just constant. It's like a vortex energy that keeps leaking energy out into the past, projecting into the future. And they love this word today. They said it's just futile, because you're never in the past. You're never in the future. You're only in the now. And that is the place, they just said to me, that is the sweet spot. That is the sweet spot of perfect harmony. And you will see people in your life, and you'll see even within yourself, when you are distracted by by projecting too far into the future, all the what ifs. What if this happens? Maybe I should do that. What if this? What if that? And attaching to stories in the past about that happened to me, so I'm like this. This happened to me, so I'm like that. That made me stronger. That made me weaker. That made me whatever. Those two things, if you look at it energetically like a pulse of light, just weakens your central life force energy, is what they're telling me. So if you can let go of that more and more and more and continue to just stay in the now, in the moment, you become a stronger beacon of light because of your willingness to be here now, which is a beautiful old Ram Dass saying, right? Be here now. And we've heard it millions of times, but they just said there's truth in that because nothing else truly exists. So even when you're being guided, because many of us are feeling that new things are coming, that there's new energy coming for us or new projects we need to be involved in, don't project too far out into that, is what they're saying. Just listen. Listen and let it come to you. And if the past is being drawn back into you, maybe you're having dreams about it, maybe you're having memories come back, remember that that's part of what they just said to me. This is interesting. It's the part of you that's afraid of letting go of some type of identity, some type of storyline. And the fear of the future and the unwillingness to stay in the present keeps us stuck in the past because it's certain, because we have experienced it from our own perception. And so in some ways it's solid, something to hold on to because it's something we know. And so the propensity is what they said, is that we will continue to stay in that old, comfortable energy because it's certain. And they just said to me, humanity's fear of not knowing the future, because humanity likes to feel safe. And they said, understandably so, with what humanity has gone through over the centuries, the millennia, there's the propensity for safety. So the unknown is a very, what they would say, scary place to be. So sometimes we try to project into the future to make sure we're protected, solid, know what's coming, know what's going on. It's not uncertain. But again, they just said all of that is futile. They showed me the wind again. And when they said the reason why it's futile is because the winds are shifting so quickly right now. So quickly. You couldn't possibly grasp the future. Nothing solid, because it's shifting so quickly. And this is what it's teaching us. This is what they just said. This is what it's teaching us to do, is it's changing so quickly. You might as well just stay in the moment and listen and see what comes for you and what feels right in that moment. And then pick up the baton and then move forward with it until something else is brought to you. Not necessarily always knowing where it's taking you. It's the same thing with this channeled piece of work. I don't really know where it's going, but I've known for many years that this is what I've been guided to do. And now the opportunity has presented itself. And so now I'm flowing with it. And that does not mean that I've not had moments of egoic struggle, that I've had not moments of, are you sure that you should be doing this? Are you worthy of this? Do you think you, like, who are you to do? Like, I've had all of that. But I always try to come back to my spiritual ethics of, I'm here to be of service to humanity. And how may I be of highest service to humanity? And if this is what the universe is asking me, whether it touches one person or 100 people or 10,000 people or 100,000 people, that is none of my business. None of our business. Be here now is the message they have for you today. And even though you can feel the winds of change coming, and even though you can feel this new moon energy, this new energy that's coming in, which we're all feeling, let it come to you. Don't dissipate your energy by putting it out too far into the future to try to search and find something solid to hold on to, because they just said to me it doesn't exist. doesn't exist. And things are happening too fast for even to try that. So be here now is the message they have. Openly accepting this new energy frequency that's coming in. Listen to the winds of change. Listen to the wind and the energy that's coming for you. And trust what you're hearing. Trust what you're feeling. Trust what you're being guided to do. And for some of us, that might be writing a book. And for others, that might be taking someone baking down the street, or opening a door for someone, or telling someone how beautiful they look because you really looked at them and saw them. We're all here to be in service to humanity in one way or another. And sometimes we can get caught in the ego of little things versus big things. But they just said to me, all things are big things. All things are big things. They just showed me even not stepping on the ant on the sidewalk because you consciously didn't want to hurt something. Even this small little ant's life is a big thing. All things are big things. In a structure that defines egoic worth versus in a way that has to do with levels, popularity, likes, finances, housing, cars, whatever it is. No thing is a little thing. There is no such thing as big things and little things. All there is a willingness to be in service to humanity. And the question they have for you today is, are you willing to be in service to humanity? And they just said to me, are you willing to listen to what that calling is? And I just heard at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Okay, well, I hope you found that helpful. I'm interested to potentially go and listen back to that because, again, I don't remember what I say half the time. But please hold on because that's not the whole, they just said production for today. You'll also hear an audio of a channeled session for one of the channeled sessions that we did. And ultimately, many of these words might be in the book that are coming up, or they might not. Maybe that's why I'm sharing this little piece of the channeling session with you now. But it'll give you flavor for what's coming through in that channeled work. And I hope you find it helpful. And I hope it connects with your heart. And I have no idea when I'm going to be back to connect with you again on here. I'd love to do a live. I keep getting that that's coming. So I hope we can. And I send you all much love. And I hope you're doing well. And I would love to see how you're doing in the comments. And just to connect with everyone. All right, everyone. So enjoy the channeled session. Much love to you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Welcome, everyone. We are very excited for you all to be here with us today. We thank you for your active service and your willingness to be open to the transmissions that will come both through Corinna and yourselves. The questions that you ask here in these sessions will be pertinent questions for many in the collective as these information continues to go out into the collective in a variety of different ways, through a variety of different channelers, through a variety of different conduits and information processes, whether it's channeling, writing, singing, acting, speaking, or just loving. So we thank you for your active service today. As we too come in service to humanity, as we have for many eons, beyond even the calculation of time. We are here to be in service to assist you in remembering your own knowingness and to give back to the collective that which has been lost through numerous generations, timelines.
Thank you. So how would you, how can we move from this space, this transition, not so I can see around us nature has a lot of, thank you for bringing the example of the tree, because a lot that happens around us, nature has this force of the flux and the flood and this liberty of this space of allowing that everything to happen, summer, fall, winter, there is a space and there is no questioning. So how can we nourish and nurture the space in us of knowingness?
Watch nature. Watch the trees. Become an observer. Allow your ego to settle. Remove the temptation to resist what is unfolding. And watch. As you sink further into the observation role, you will see more and more clearly how beautifully designed creation is. We encourage you to go and sit in nature and watch. And in some of the areas in which you all live currently, this is a beautiful time to see creation manifest, is it not? To know that once again, flowers will bloom, leaves will flow, energy will move through the trees, the sun shall shine more, the grass will green, all without thinking, all without wishing for. It just does. And so does the divine, within all things, within you. So we recommend that you become observers of your own experience, observers of your own thoughts, and observers of nature when your thoughts are removing you from the potential to see it from the divine's perspective. Nature has a way of refocusing the flow of divinity. Nature does not question. When you see a baby horse being born, are you not amazed at its ability to stand within moments? What within the horse knows to stand? What within a baby knows to suckle immediately for survival? There is divinity in all things. There is wisdom in all things. Watch. Just observe. Turn off the TV. Remove yourself from media. And watch nature unfold. You will hear it singing to you. There is a resonance within there that you will be tuning into and you will become more familiar of. Feel the energy that runs through all things. The lack of resistance that moves through nature. That is the knowingness that we speak. As the trees communicate through the roots, as the flowers communicate with the sun, all things are interconnected. All things live and die. All things are reborn again. Become the observer. Let your monkey mind rest. And know that all is well, exactly as it is unfolding. And we hear some of you question now, exactly as it is unfolding, even what is happening on our earth plane right now. There are questions. but we say yes. If you saw it from a higher perspective, you would have no doubts that the divine is orchestrating in ways that the human mind cannot even comprehend. All things, even those that ache our heart deeply, are unfolding for a divine purpose, a divine awakening, and that are moving towards the potential for growth, such as the trees winding around themselves, choosing to search for the light for their own growth. So does humanity. We thank you for the question.
Thank you. So along the lines of the knowingness, I find this sometimes challenging with us having to ask for closures. So the need for closure to start again, to end something and to start something new. So how can you speak more about our need for closures? I feel that maybe in spirit there are no closures. There is, everything is already does not begin and does not end. But can you speak more to that, please?
You can view the experience of life as a circle. And it just continues to go around and around in its different forms. Closure is, the better word for closure is transition from one experience to another, one moment to another. And as a circle closes, it continues on into a new circular pattern. But all is continued to be interconnected. One circle. So at times we can feel energetically the gap as we move towards what you may call closure. A better word would be transition into another frequency, another experience, another circle. The better way we could describe it is perhaps a spiral of energy if you look at it from a different perspective. That everything spirals in. If you look at it from a singular perspective, it looks like a circle. If you look at it from a multidimensional perspective, it looks similar to a spiral. So as things come around to what you may call completion, they actually turn the corner into another higher vibrational frequency or experience. All things are interconnected. Does that help seeing it from a different perspective? So when we understand the circular energy of life, often, as we mentioned, that we have a perception of closure because we see the circle closing, but the circle, if you've changed perspective to a spiral, is actually moving in a higher frequency of possibility and potential and experience. For yourself and for that individual or that experience that you have closure with. Does that help clarify?
Yes, thank you.